This week I'd like to talk about a little success story that we've had with a person that had lessons with me in the past. This person's name is Darren, and Darren's been writing, recording and releasing his own original music. We first met when he attended one of my guitar workshops that I run here in Brighton. We have more of those coming up this year for acoustic guitar and electric guitar, kind of a band workshop thing, so I'll leave links to those in the description below. Darren then went on to perform at open mic nights. He was even part of an open mic night over Zoom during lockdown, and he's been writing and recording at home, and he's got those to a standard where he's even released them on Spotify, and it's out there in the world for you guys to listen to if you wish. And this, to me, is a classic example of what I really like to communicate to everyone out there, which is that learning music is about a lot more than just getting better at an instrument. If you want to learn guitar and you really pursue that for a number of months and years, it can take you to amazing places that you never would have got to had you not learnt guitar or learned music. But that tends not to happen unless you go down the road of pursuing musical outlets for yourself. And these musical outlets are simply playing with other people, playing perhaps live or recording yourself, and writing and recording your own ideas, your own song ideas, riff ideas, your own chord progressions, so that you're creating rather than just recreating. And where can this lead you? Well, let's have a chat with Darren and find out what he's got to say and the benefits that he's found from all of this. And as I say, I do run in-person workshops here in Brighton. We've got a couple coming up this year, and the links at the top of the description if you'd like to learn more about that, and links to Darren's socials and Darren's music are all in the description too.
So I learned to play probably about 20 years ago, maybe 25 years ago, in a group session. One of these things that are sort of run in schools in the evening, sort of evening class thing once a week with a group of people. So I learnt the basics then, and then along came a family and that kind of thing, and then the guitar all went to one side, and then I didn't play it for years really. It wasn't really until I got back playing 3 years ago now, when we were doing the jam sessions, and that's what got me back into it.
Had you had any other lessons other than the group lessons that you had back then, and then the group lessons that you started with?
No, nothing. It was just that for about 9 months, I guess, where we kind of learnt the chords, a few finger picking, very basic kind of things, happy birthday, that type of thing. And
I know them well. I've taught them many times.
Yeah. And then just jam sessions after that.
Oh, that's
many
fantastic.
years later.
Yeah, of course. So I guess with learning in a group setting, you're naturally a bit more comfortable playing with other people, and therefore in front of people. Because once you are okay playing with other people, there's a lot of other things start to open up to you, which I guess is the thing that I really wanted to talk to you about today, really. Have you done open mic nights other than that?
So I did one just before COVID kicked in. So Bill had been starting to go quite regularly to some local open mics. So he kept saying to me, why don't you come down to one? So I was just trying to get up the courage to do it. And then so I went to one before. It was really good. And then since we've come out of lockdown, I think I've only been to one since then, but my intention is to do more. I think the thing with that, what was really good is how accommodating people are at these open mics. You go along there terrified, really not knowing what to expect, and you're putting yourself up there in front of all these other people. And a lot of musicians who are very good as well, and have been doing it for years and years and years. So it is intimidating, but it's amazing how friendly everyone is, and welcoming you to and encouraging you to all the kind of confidence building, really, because they're just saying I think they can put themselves back in that situation when they first did it and knew how terrifying it was. So they've been through it. They know what it's like for someone to to get up there and perform in front of everyone watching. So I think, you know, it resonates with them. So it's nice to hear them telling you, you know, what it was like for them as well. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
It's everyone's first time, at least once. Everyone had to have that first time. And it's good to hear that you found a good group. And anyone that has a negative experience at an open mic night, I'd definitely say try another one. They're not all like that. And anyone can also have a negative experience for any reason. It could be your off day, it could have been the group's off day. But in general, yeah, open mic nights are among the most welcoming and positive places because you have got the empathy of everyone in the room, because half of them will be getting up themselves and they want to be, they literally selfishly, they want to be encouraging to you so that you're encouraging to them.
Yeah.
So the other thing that you've certainly, that perhaps that led to, though I'd be interested to talk to you about that, is you recording your own songs and just recording in general that like you're really into, aren't you? So where did the seed of that come from? Where did the first, you know, when did you first actually try doing that?
Yeah, so that was probably from. So we started the Skype Arms thing. So when COVID came along, we had to go online instead. So that brought about a change in what we were doing, because obviously we were playing as a group, and then we're now doing it more like an open mic thing. So because, you know, we can't play together because of the latency and all those kinds of issues. So, you know, we're just performing to one another, really, sort of in a solo, you know, kind of way. So that brought about, you know, a lot of changes. But so we've been playing for, I don't know, maybe about sort of 5 or 6 months, I think, with the online stuff. And so then Joe was able to join us. That was one advantage of moving online, is that then we weren't restricted to geography anymore, where people could make it to one place. We've got Joe from North Wales joining us every week. So that was great. And it was actually Joe who, just one week, as I sort of 5 or 6 months into the open mic thing that we were doing online, she just said, "Oh, I'm going to play a song that I've written." You know, we're like, "Oh wow, okay, this is great." You know, we'd all up to that point, we had just been doing, you know, cover versions of songs. So she sits there with an acoustic guitar playing this song that she's written, and I was just blown away, just really impressed that she's been able to write
the Skype Arms song?
No, it was another one called I think it's called Lipstick Face. I think.
Oh, I've not heard that.
Oh right, yeah, you should listen to that. And it was good because she's got a story behind the song as well, which is always interesting to hear when somebody tells you.
It's great to open mic nights, right? When someone just gives 30 seconds of this is why this song exists, and
yes,
the song's always better for it. I agree.
Yes, yeah. So that was great. So yeah, it's just really interesting. Oh, this is great that she's actually, you know, sort of taken time to sit down. And also, I think I sort of toyed with the idea of it, not seriously, of writing a song. It's almost like there were too many obstacles in the way. That's what I felt like. I thought, well, one, I haven't got the time. I felt like I would need to take a week off work, sit down in a room, maybe some kind of studio or something, and I'd be sitting there writing stuff. So that was one thing. I thought, I'm not going to have the time to do that. Secondly, I was kind of thought this type of thing is reserved for Taylor Swift and Ed Sheeran, not for me. You know, can I write a song? I don't know if I can. And like my knowledge, my theory, you know, on music and all that kind of thing, I just don't have much of that whatsoever. You know, I know some chords on the guitar. I know there's keys. Songs have keys, and there's scales, which I don't know any scales, things like this, you know, just really lacking in that area. So I'm thinking, well, how would I be able to write a song without all of this musical knowledge? But it turned out I didn't really need it, which was the great thing, you know. And I didn't need this. I could just carve out some time, just an hour here and there, or a couple of hours. Probably the longest time I've ever spent doing any of it was like 2 hours, something like that. And you just kind of chip away at it, and it took less time than I thought, especially with the songwriting. Actually coming up with, you know, a verse and a chorus and that type of thing wasn't actually that long to do. The part that takes longest for me is more about the putting the arrangement together and the production of it and kind of mixing of it, and that I spend more time on that than I've done on actually coming up with a chord progression and a melody for the parts. I think because the song is so repetitive, it's kind of like I didn't really think about that in the first place. But by the time I had a 4-chord progression for the verse, well, that's the verse is done, and then you repeat the verse.
Yeah.
And then
that's
the same
like
with
half
the chorus.
The song done, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
That. Yeah. It is lots of decisions, but once they're decided, it's done.
Yeah. That was the thing that struck me about it. I think was once I'd had put that chord progression in place for the verse and the chorus, and then I came up with a melody for each of those. And again, like the melody, like I think in the first song that I wrote, Tethered, it has like the melody line. It's one line, and then I repeat that same melody line in the verse. I think it might change one note on it might change or something, but it's everything's so repetitive that it just comes together really quickly. And then I sort of spend more time on actually putting it all together, so it sounds like a song rather than just me strumming a guitar and
they are two different processes as well. In fact, there's probably three. There's probably like the seed of the idea when you like that, wherever that comes from, and it can be inspired by another song, or it can just come to you, or it can flow from the guitar. A line comes from that, and it's like there's just an idea of a song. Sometimes that's a riff at the start. Sometimes it's just chord progression. Sometimes it's just a title or one line. It can come from no two songs come from the same place, but that's like one part of it. And if you don't have that, you never start. But when that happens, it does kind of come instant. It just occurs. But then there's the actually fleshing that out a bit. So deciding that that's a verse. Well, how many verses is there going to be? What is the chorus going to be? And is this going to have a bridge and things like that? And you can do that all just yourself, acoustic guitar. You could do it all just in your head, just write it down, but think of what you're wanting and sort of imagine a chord progression or something like that. And then the recording and production side is actually a whole other section of it. Like if you're a songwriter, you can do all that, but you actually don't have to. That's a whole of a skill set, a whole of a job, a whole of a set of people. I don't know, how much do you, if you do record it quite quickly, how much do you use the recording software to actually help you compose it, like actually map out the sections? Have you ever done it that way around, or is the song pretty fully formed before you start recording?
I would say what I would normally do is I'm not set. I haven't set in stone the order of the songs. Like, so how many verses, how many choruses, that actually comes when I'm recording it. Yeah, so I haven't really got it fully formed. I've got a verse and I've got a chorus and maybe a middle eight as well. But yeah, it's really, I record if I'm using recording a guitar, then I may start with that and just record the verse and the chorus. But then I'm playing around with it within the software to say, okay, I'm going to repeat that a couple of times, then I'm going to do the chorus, and then I'll move to. And yeah, really, the full thing doesn't come sort of to fruition, and probably till quite late in the process. I still may decide that I'm going to put another verse in or move something around quite late in the day because it's so easy to do, So
absolutely, and I do think it helps as opposed to just having to have the whole thing done on an acoustic guitar, where you kind of have to keep the whole song in your head. Because when you record it, you can suddenly listen back to it and go, "Oh no, it needs to be longer. It's now longer. Oh no, there needs to be that needs to be half as long, but then we need another thing here. Done. Do it." It can be hard. It suddenly puts you in that point of the listener, but that has its challenges as well, because suddenly you're listening back to your song and going, "Oh, I'm not as into this as I thought it was." It sounded better. The idea sounded better than it's coming out now. But of course, limitations on what you can do with production can be down to as well, which the production's like always the finishing stuff. As you say, it takes a long time to get something sounding how you want it to sound.
Yeah.
What then made you decide that you were happy enough to put these songs on Spotify? Because you've started uploading stuff to Spotify, right?
Yeah. I think just feedback from other people, you know, sort of saying, you know, saying, is that you? What, on your own? You've just like that, all those instruments and that, but it's just you. It's not a band and things like that. So, and they're saying, if I heard that just come onto the radio or, you know, whatever, or if I was listening to Spotify and this was the next random track that's played, they would never, you know, sort of think, oh, you know, what's this that's suddenly come on? It would just blend in with all the other songs. So it was that really that people were giving me that sort of feedback, thinking, oh, well, you know, it is, you know, it is good enough to upload onto those platforms. So yeah, I thought I'd, you know, just do it.
Oh, that's fantastic. I do advise it as well because I have an album on Spotify. I put it up there in 2012, and the reason I did it was I was literally realizing if I didn't do it then, I might never do it. And that literally started to scare me because I was like, I have spent a lot of my life writing songs, recording stuff, from being like the first bit of computer music I did, I was literally 9 years old, and my brother showed me how to do it on his Amiga. Amiga Commodore 400. Oh yeah. And I was just recreating, you know, other songs that I heard on the radio then, but I learned so much from it. And then it's really kept me on the line of like progressing and now doing it as a job, songwriting, creating, rather than just recreating other people's songs. And it was too important for me not to have a record of that. So yeah, how many releases have you got on Spotify now? And what?
So I've got 3. There's 3 singles up there, and I've just finished my 4th one.
Great stuff. So what's the names of those? And you know, a brief thing about maybe how the 3 that you've got up there already. How, you know, where did they come from, and what are the names of them and stuff? Yeah.
So the first one was Tethered. Which that was the first song. So that was quite. So I don't really know where it came from. It's quite interesting actually, because I don't when I'm writing songs, That was another thing that actually sort of kind of put me off to begin with. Really, was thinking, well, what am I going to write about? I was just like, I haven't really got anything that I want to say or messages I want to get out there. Like, you know, these, you know, you hear these people saying and stuff like that. So it was actually the lyrics were quite difficult in that respect. But I find with all the songs, the lyrics just come out of the music. So it's like I've got the music down. I know what the melody is, and then I'm just like kind of la-la-laing along to it to get the melody, and then I start to find the words. So the song Tethered is actually a song about domestic abuse, which, you know, is quite dark and that, but and again, it wasn't really anything me thinking I'm going to write a song about domestic abuse. You know, it's obviously a massive subject and all of that kind of thing, but there was no intention to do that. For some reason, just some words came out, and it seemed to be building itself around some kind of, you know, violent relationship type thing. So and that's just how it ended up. And that's
amazing. And just to pause there a second, because amazing that you followed up on that, because when you realise you've got that, it can be like you say, oh, that's a bit dark, I don't want to do that one. But there's so many great songs that are about dark things, but they're not depressing to listen to. And also some people's favourite songs are like the darkest, most depressing ones. Yeah. And they're like, I really like it. So it shouldn't put anyone off.
No.
But I think a great analogy, there's so many, but a great one for songwriting while you're doing it is it's a bit like being an archaeologist and excavating. Like the song already exists, but when you come up with the first idea, you just move a bit of soil and then, oh my God, there's something there. And then the more you excavate, you're kind of discovering it. And it's there's more of it. Like it can easily, as you discover it, it can be something you didn't expect, which is weird when you've come up with it. Right? Yeah. Like how am I surprising yourself? But that's the best thing about the process. It is like, wow, it is like magic. It's honestly the closest thing to real magic, because that's what it feels like while you're writing.
Yeah,
That's
a
the best
good
thing of the
analogy.
it's the best thing of the whole thing. That feeling while you're excavating.
Yeah, yeah, and that happened on all the songs. To be honest, is
Oh.
the same that I didn't really know what was going to happen with them. You know, right at the beginning when I first started the song, all of them turned out to be very different, really, from what was kind of I thought they were going to end up as.
Thank you so much to Darren for chatting with me. Links to all his stuff is in the description below, as are links to the workshops that I run here in Brighton, which feature in-person teaching, jamming with me, acoustic and electric. These workshops are the absolute highlight of my year, and I really hope to see some of you guys down at them, either now or in the future.